Hey guys, as you can see, filming this the same day as my wrap up. It is the beginning of October and I am participating in Spoopathon. And I just wanted to give you guys a heads up on a book that I just read that will be coming your way next year. Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. If you're new, hello, I'm Nicole. If you are sticking around, thank you so much for doing so. I really appreciate you guys joining me on this journey. I don't know if this is going to be a new segment or not, but I basically, if you've watched my October somewhat T.B.R, which I will link below, you can get a little bit more understanding on where this is coming from, but I received my first ARC or advanced reading copy ever. And I did that by winning a Goodreads contest, and I was sent a copy of a book that is not out yet. It comes out in hardcover February of 2023, but I decided to give it its own little, I guess, screening, if you will, because I am going to title this one Coming Soon. And if I should happen to get any other advanced reading copies or anything ahead of its time, I might continue with this as its own series and call it Coming Soon. But the book that I got was Seven Faceless Saints by M.K. Lobb. This one, once again, won't be coming out until February of 2023, but got it, sounded great, wanted to read it, finished it like that. It was good. So this is written by M.K. Lobb. It is my understanding that she is a new author. This is actually her debut book. And well done, first book out, well done. I really loved this book. Basically what it's about is you have this city of Umbrazio. Everything felt very Italian, like think the oh gosh, what do they call it? The capital in Italy, or the Vatican City. So it felt very much almost like this was Vatican City, but like in this fantasy realm. And Umbrazia is at war with another kind of country that shifted off, because what you find out is they're kind of, I don't want to call it their creation story, but kind of you have these 7 saints, and through them everything is created. Some of the saints have abilities over like metalworking, over healing, over death, over all these things, and they're kind of revered. And one of them, Chaos, who has, I guess, like, I don't want to call it like kind of mind control abilities, kind of separates from the others. And as it's given to you, like, I don't know if it's really the truth, but as it's given to you in this book, Chaos basically starts what is the first war, and all the other saints rally against him. I don't know if Patience does or not, because it gives out that Patience and Chaos are lovers. But basically the saints fight Chaos. Chaos is killed, and the followers, or the people that fought for Chaos, are kind of pushed out into this other city, and all the other saints and their disciples, or like they're not really disciples, they're descendants of their lineage, but they call them disciples, live in the city of Umbrazia. And Umbrazia has kind of like this capital type building where you have like the chief magistrate lives, and like the more important figures, the I guess chosen delegates of each of the descendants line. So like you have a Patience, you have a Death, you have whatever representatives for like this kind of council that all reside in this one building that's protected by kind of the guard. And then you have everybody else kind of living there. And what you find out is the descendants who inherit magic become disciples of whoever their line is because of whatever power they have. And they're kind of revered, but in reality, their whole real life is kind of just manufacturing whatever is needed, because there's now a second war going on the borders between Umbrazia and the other town that used to follow chaos. And so they supply like potions and weapons and all these things. So they're kind of like glorified magic factory workers, I guess is the best way to kind of put it. So like everybody's thinking, oh, the disciples are so great, but that's because they see that the disciples are paid better. They get to have better life standards. People born without magic, they're kind of living in the slums. The other thing is the people born without magic, their way of kind of like, oh, well, you owe it to us because the people with the magic kind of protect you and take care of you here in the city. You kind of owe it to us to go out and fight the war. So the people without magic get sent off in like drafts and waves to this front lines of the war where, they come back with, PTSD. They come back, deserters are killed or imprisoned, and, they don't want to fight this war. And so it's just, there's a lot of kind of this kind of political agenda, and you see the two sides of the coin where either you have magic or you don't, but at the same time, who's better off in doing so? And so in this, you have the main characters. Well, there's two characters because it's different points of view in here. Rosanna and Damien. And Rosanna and Damien grew up together. Their fathers were best friends, and Damien's father has powers. He's one of the descendants, disciples, and he's a disciple of strength. And Rosanna's family, her parents do not have powers, but they're still, her father gets sent up. Her father's Lorenzo, and he gets sent up to the battle lines, and Damien's father goes up there, and he actually takes Damien and his wife with him to the north. And it kind of leaves Rosanna brokenhearted because they had this little childhood romance, which, evolves into a teenage romance before he goes and sent on his way. And what happens is Rosanna's father deserts, and he's tracked down, and he's basically killed by none other than Damien's father. And so connection has been lost, connection has been severed. Rosanna is furious with Damien's father, Batista, and she's furious at Damien too, but she's furious with Damien because he never checked up on her. He never let her, she didn't know if he was dead. She didn't know what was going on with him. He just kind of fell off the earth that way. So now this is like years ahead. It's like 3 or 4 years after the death of her father. Her mother is basically, depression has set in to where it's becoming almost like a psychosis. Like she sees things, she's kind of delusional, a little bit of dementia. It's like, it's just become this whole thing, but you realize it's her dealing with the depression. And Rosanna's like taking care of her because Rosanna has late onset magical abilities. Even though her parents don't, she gained her abilities. She is a disciple of patience, even though she doesn't really want to be a disciple because she sees them as entitled and they're not really doing anything to help everybody. And she kind of sides with the people who don't have magic. And within this group, there is a group of rebels that she is trying to help to basically get equality, to get, kind of their rights and liberties there. And she runs across, many years later, she runs into Damien, who Damien is now the captain of the guard under his father, who's kind of like the head general, if you will. And he's in command of, so Damien's now in command of the guard. He has come back from the front lines. He is suffering greatly from PTSD. He's witnessed people die, just he's not in the greatest shape. And he, for lack of purpose, he's trying to appeal to his father to be this guard commander, if you will, to not have these feelings, but he can't. He has a heart and he has feelings, and he doesn't always see that he's trying to follow the rules, but he's also kind of starting to understand that the rules maybe aren't helping everybody, but at the same time, he wants to follow his father's instructions because he wants to be seen as worthy in his dad's eyes. So each of them kind of has this traumatic kind of past and reasons why they had this falling out. But what happens is there are murders happening in this town, and the first two happen to people without abilities, so they're kind of washed over and nobody really cares. And one of them happens to be the sister of one of Rosanna's or Roz's friends. So there's kind of an uproar among the rebel forces because nobody's paying any attention to this. But what happens is one of the disciples within kind of the Capitol compound, if you were, is murdered. And now they're taking notice to be like, what's going on? And so they put Damien in charge of finding out what's going on. And so Damien is starting to question things because he's starting to find out that maybe the death that happened to the disciple and the death that happened to these other two individuals outside, maybe they're linked. Maybe there's something more going on. And so he ends up getting in touch with Rosanna and asking for her help because she's wanting to solve the murders too, since one of the victims was the sister of her friend. So they team up. There's kind of this enemies to lovers romance going on because they don't understand what happened in the past few years that they were apart. Damien is still head over heels for Rosanna. She is for all essential purposes, the love of his life. She hates him with a passion, absolute passion. And she just does not want anything really to do with him, but knows she needs to basically use him to get where she needs to go in the case, as well as what she can get out of him to help the rebels. But lo and behold, fate has other plans. Love gets in the way, as well as other murders starting to happen, that there is a plot unfolding that neither one of them kind of saw coming. Just twists and turns. And when you find out at the end who is involved, it surprised me, and then it didn't surprise me because I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that does make sense. But it wasn't somebody that I was keen on, and the people that I was thinking might have been in control. Yeah, but there's more going on to it. This is going to be a series. The next book does not come out, I think, until January of 2024, but I am already hungry for it because this was really good. The romance in it, it says on the back this is supposed to be ages 14 and up. I take it with a grain of salt because there is a lot of kind of murder in it. There is a little bit of kind of light gore. It is a horror book. She classifies it. This is a horror book. There is a steamy scene that is descriptive. So I will give that. I loved it. I thought it felt with the book. I got giddy when it happened because there hadn't been much romance up to that point. So I was giddy. I don't know if I would read it at 14. I would think it'd maybe be more 16 and up, but I get it because with everything that's out there on social media and movies and TV, 14-year-olds are probably exposed to a lot more than I was at 14. So I get it. But I will, use your discretion if you don't want a 14-year-old reading something like that, then, because this is being classified as a YA. I felt it was more on the adult side of YA. So your 16, 17, 18-year-olds, I think would have no problem reading it. A little bit younger, it depends. I really liked it because it reminded me a lot of Dan Brown books. And I mean that in the essence of, in the Dan Brown books, within the first chapter, you see kind of, you're a witness to the murder. You see the murder kind of happen, and you know that it's a murder. You know it's not anything else because you see it happen. And then that brings in your main kind of protagonist who needs to kind of solve it. They get whoever they get. I think for what is it? It's been a while. For Da Vinci Code, you have Robert Langdon, and I think it's Sophie that he gets kind of helping him out. So that's kind of it follows kind of suit on that part where the first chapter, you're seeing it through the person, the disciple that's going to get murdered. That's not a spoiler. It literally happens in the first chapter. I and then, but you know that this isn't something they do to themselves. There's more to it. And then you're watching as Damien teams up with Roz to figure it out. It also reminded me of Dan Brown, where Dan Brown has this wonderful, uncanny ability for making you think you're only going to finish the chapter, and then 5 chapters, 6 chapters, end of book later, you know, there's other books that have done it, but I know for me, he's had a lot of page turners that way, where there's a lot of cliffhangers on the chapter that just make you keep going. And this one has that. There's a lot of chapters that make you end and you're just like, wait, what? What just happened? But there were a lot of moments, as you can see. It's not a big tabbed book, but I did tab it a little bit because I did find there were some very enjoyable moments in here. I did find, like, there were things that kind of was like, wait a second, I'm questioning, like, clue, you know? And then there were just some, like, really interesting things, like right on the very first page, she gives you kind of like the, like a little bit about, you know, chaos and patience and their role as lovers. And I just loved like that. But then I loved at the end, it said, chaos is hasty, but patience knows precisely when to strike. And I was just like, as soon as I read this, I was like, oh yes, I need my tabs. This is gonna be good. So it definitely was good. Definitely a page turner. Characters are very well thought out in here. The backstories they give them are very good. The struggles with the emotions that they're having that conflict was really well done. It just missed on a little bit for me. And as I think, as far as the relationship dynamic between Damien and Roz, I wanted a little bit more. Which that's my own thing, so I don't really let that affect like my star ratings. What brought it down for me in the 4 to a 4-star was just I loved the world that was created. However, there were a few like phrases that were used that were like kind of like our slang, if you will, that were put in there that kind of took me out of it. And then there were different ways that she would talk, or that the author described the city, that it didn't make it feel like it was this fantasy city anymore. And I started kind of like, I'd have to sit there, pull myself out of the story and be like, okay, wait, is this supposed to be like parallel kind of like to our city? Because they don't talk about like cars or anything in here, and they have magical abilities and it's called like a different name. But like I said, it felt very Vatican City, and then with the slang and things that they're kind of saying, it felt like it could be like modern day. But once again, she's not describing people walking around in like jeans and tank tops and things like that. They're wearing like cloaks and army uniforms and whatever. So there was kind of like this little battle for me of like, what really is this world kind of supposed to be? And that took me out of it a little bit. And when you take me out of a story, it's gonna affect the rating a little bit. But that being said, it's not enough for me to not recommend it and, you know, to say, you know, I mean, look at it. I'm already like, when is January getting here? Because I want the sequel. So I very much recommend it if you are a fan of like murder, mayhem, mystery, touch of romance. Like I said, it is a YA book, but for me, it read like a more adult YA. So if you're not a huge fan of YA, you still might want to give it a try, because like I said, the themes of it were a little bit darker, a little bit more adult. But I really did like it. I love Damien in this. He is just like so sweet. There are, like I said, a lot of trigger warnings for things like PTSD, depression. There is a war going on. There are murders going on. Some of it can maybe be a little graphic for people, but I really, really, really liked it. So like I said, M.K. Lobb, first, if this is, you know, like I said, I'm pretty sure it's her first debut novel. Great job on this being your first novel. I look forward to it coming out. I look forward to the sequel, and can't wait to read it. And if you get a chance to read it, if you, you know, when this comes out in February and you're able to read it, let me know what your thoughts are and if you enjoyed it as much as I did. So I will let you guys know. Like I said, four stars for me. Really liked it. Beautiful cover. Go pick it up. And I will see you in my other videos. Bye.